Welcome back to the presentation podcast. I'm Kriva.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Mira.
And for today's podcast, we're going to be doing a little update on our first week in school and just saying how we got on, and make sure to let us know in the comments below how you've got on during school and your opinions on some of the topics we're going to talk about.
Are you finding it being back with COVID? Like, obviously we're all vaccinated now, whereas like it's very different to when we left in the summer. How are you finding it?
It's okay. It's weird. Like, it's different. It's different. Like, I know I don't really feel different since I got vaccinated, but I am fully done now. So 3 of us are fully done, but I don't really feel much different because like I've just been kind of acting the same. So
yeah, I think for me, I've noticed a huge difference because obviously before I had to be like overly paranoid, and now I just need to be overly paranoid. So
thing is, like, even though like we can kind of calm down, it's like in school they can't because a lot of people still wouldn't be vaccinated. So
yeah,
like we might be able to relax ourselves, but that's like outside of school rather than inside of school. And then inside of school we still have to follow like the strict guidelines and stuff, which is kind of annoying because like, you know, when you're vaccinated and like outside, like you can go to restaurants now and we can do all these things, but with school then we're still restricted like everybody else, you know.
I don't know. I think it does make sense in schools though, because there are so many of us, and like you were saying, like loads of people aren't vaccinated yet, so it kind of does need to be that way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I understand totally, and like I agree, but it's just kind of annoying in your own head. Like, I'm vaccinated, but there's still some things that I can't really do, and whatever, you know.
Yeah, like, do we actually know for certain what's happening with masks on the 22nd?
I don't know if anything else really came out about it. They said they were going to review it again about schools, because they said
they were hearing about schools, but I can't see school letting up on masks.
especially like big schools, like,
Well, we have a small school, like.
I don't know. It's all up in the air, to be honest. Like, but I feel like I kind of would wear a mask anyway. Still, just like,
yeah, I would as well.
a bit dodgy. Like, you never know. So
that's because like the vaccine doesn't offer the full protection because of Delta, obviously. So like
It does.
No,
it covers Delta.
It's supposed to, but people with the vaccine still get Delta. And
yeah, you can still get COVID.
You still get COVID full stop.
I mean that like some people who are getting Delta are then having really severe reactions as well, like they would have if they hadn't gotten the vaccine at all. So just with that, I'm back to paranoid, which is great fun.
Yeah, but like chances are like slim, like, and I haven't really heard.
Oh yeah.
I have been looking at the cases whatsoever. Like, I don't know what the cases have been for the last like 6 months more. I haven't checked them in so long. Like, I used to look at it every day and I used to paranoid myself and be like, oh my god, it's ever going to end. And then we had the point where it was like 0 deaths and 0 cases for a couple of days, and then it kind of went up again and it started going up and up and up. And then eventually I was just like, you know what, now I just can't look at it anymore. I don't want to. It was just like, it's just like, I don't know, it just kind of puts you in a bad mood knowing, like, thinking like this might never stop. But like, obviously it's gonna have to, and we're gonna end up just having to live with it. But like, it's just the thought of like, when is it actually gonna end, you know?
Like, it's always gonna be there. It's just gonna get to a point where it's not talked about anymore.
Yeah, it's I don't know. All we can do is hope.
How are you finding it being in 5th year, like after 4th year last year? Like, it's a huge difference. How are you finding that?
Oh my god, like, I don't know what's after hitting me.
So different. Like, I thought because of COVID and not really going anywhere and not being as relaxed last year, I thought it would help, like, and I thought it wouldn't make much of a difference, but it's still huge.
I'm not noticing that much of a difference.
For us, we barely got any, like, but it's more like the learning and like physically in class work. It's a lot more, like, it's just a lot, and especially with homework, so
and
much
like
more.
they're like they're like, if you wait even until October, you're gonna be behind, and it's gonna mess you up for the rest of the 2 years.
I think what's different now is like the pressure on the leaving cert. Like basically every class we're in, they're kind of going, okay, this is how it's going to come up in your leaving cert, and you need to start preparing for your leaving cert and all this kind of stuff. Where I think last year it's like we did have a good bit of work because we weren't going anywhere. And like I noticed, especially in my class, we still did loads. But it was like in English, we were doing loads of exam questions. In history, we did so much, all this kind of stuff, that it's the workload isn't that much more, but it's more the pressure of it is that it's kind of going, okay, but this is to prepare you for this, and you need to start studying for your leaving cert, and in 2 years time you're going to be sitting your leaving cert, and it all comes down to this. You're kind of going, okay, we've been preparing for this for years, but like, why does it have to be here now?
Yeah, we for us, I'd say it's a bit bigger of a difference. Like we did work in English. We did a good bit of work in English, especially like when we were online. We did a lot of English work, but we did most of that kind of the more difficult stuff and the more like heavy stuff like poetry. We did that online, so that was more chill, and we were grand like, and we did a lot of geography stuff. But again, it's still not the same. Like it's not like then they were like, we're just doing something small with you, so when you go into next year and you have to do this, it's not brand new. But they weren't like trying to get us to learn it, or they weren't trying to get us to like, they weren't drilling it in our heads, and it wasn't like as severe. They were just going through stuff with us more than anything. Like obviously we did a lot of maths work because that's leaving cert course anyway, but like in other subjects we were kind of just, we were like learning, but like not like, it wasn't heavy in any way, shape or form, you know. But this year it's heavy, like heavy work, like, and it's it's definitely different. And I feel like COVID made it different too, you know. It's a bit like, as one of the teachers said today, like teachers are freaking out thinking we might go into another lockdown, and they're trying to get a lot of work done already. And I feel like it's usually you get like eased into it, but this year it was just thrown straight on top of us first day back, and we got homework. Like we got a good bit of homework. We did a lot of like note taking and learning and stuff like that in class, which is something we weren't really expecting, you know. We thought we were going to be eased into it in our first couple of days.
Would you have any advice for the people going into TY now who are going to be going into 5th year next year?
I don't think there's nothing you could say that will prepare them.
And if you do get work, just do it, you know. Like there's no point slacking off in fourth year.
Like,
I think like the advice I'd give would be more like what you said, any work you get, just kind of do it, but as well in things like maths, to just do it early. So if you get homework and it's not due for a few days, just do it. There's no point putting it off for a few days, because then you're not going to know how to do it anymore. And I think especially in maths, because we anyway did 5 chapters from the leaving cert course then, and like we're not going to be covering those again. So I think especially with that, if there is any of that kind of stuff, to just take the notes, do it all properly, and save yourself the work. Because if you get into 5th year and then you're kind of going, oh, those actually meant something, I should have like taken notes properly on them, or I should have actually paid attention, it's just going to be so much harder. And like any stuff like what we had, where kind of teachers were trying to prepare us and kind of say, okay, this is roughly what you're going to be getting, just really pay attention and keep notes would be my big thing. Like keep any of the notes you do.
Yeah, I kept all of like my English stuff from last year, and actually I do have all of my things, but like the things I will be keeping and looking at again is like French, geography, English, obviously math.
yeah, like I stayed in Google Classrooms from last year that just had good notes and stuff in them.
I do.
Yeah, same.
And like I saved PowerPoints like to my laptop from Google Classroom and stuff too, from like geography and English, so I have them and whatever. But and you know, you're saying about like doing your homework early and stuff, that's not even just advice for like the fourth, that's advice for anybody. I've been doing that since first year. Every time I get homework, I do it the day I get it, and it's 10 times easier, because then I don't have to worry about the next day. If like, let's just say there was a lot of things due for tomorrow, but there was one thing that was due for the other day. So like Wednesday, let's just say. And I decided to do all my homework that was due for tomorrow and leave that one. That might just be so much extra weight on yourself. And it's nearly annoying for yourself having to do it. Like, I hate having to do homework that was from like a day or two ago when it's due like tomorrow or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like a lot of people, I know it's out of laziness and some of us just don't want to do it. And sometimes you're like, I just don't want to do it. I'm not doing it. Like, I literally did that the other day. I was like, I just don't want to do this certain piece of homework. I'm going to leave it to the weekend to do it for Monday. Grand, whatever. And that was just that one thing. And I never usually do that, but like, choose your moments to do that and only do it if you need to. Like, I don't know, it's just like, that's even something for first years or like second years even or whatever. But I just think that's good advice for anybody, because it's really, I think it's been beneficial for myself to like leave off pressure if you end up having like, you don't know if you're going to get loads of homework tomorrow, but then you also have extra stuff from yesterday that you need to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it can get messy, you know. You could just like forget things that you learn in class, and then, or like if you were talking or a teacher was talking and that day you might remember it, but the next day you mightn't. And you know, it's just easy. I think personally, I think it's way easier on yourself to just do it the day you get it rather than wait, personally.
I think as well with that, like, it's really good to work on your time management early. Like, if you start in first and second year doing that, then like, I know even now I have to do something sometime. Like, I can, if something's due, like we get the homework on the Monday, it's due next Monday, there's a chance I won't be able to do it that night, because like, we do get a lot of homework. Like, there are some days where I literally get home, sit down, start my homework, and by the time I finish, I'm going to bed, just because of the amount that we get. And obviously that's not even doing everything. Like, there are always going to be extra things. So I think it's to definitely like time manage, do what's due first. Like, if you have a huge project, you don't just push it all off and say, oh no, but I'll do it next week, I'll start next week. Just do little bits. And I think the biggest thing for me was learning how to split up work. Like, if we have a big thing due for English, I might do a part of it one night and then do the next part of it the next night, and then it's already done. That's just to break up the work and make it as easy for yourself as possible.
And another thing which I was the worst for, and I think, to be honest, everybody is, because especially for us now at the moment, but this is even something for first, second, third years, any year in the whole school. When you get notes, learn them the day you get them. Because I feel like everybody for junior cert, you think, I'll do it tomorrow. I think this is about everything. And people just become lazy. And I am the worst of this. I think you could both say the same. Everybody is. Nobody can pretend like everybody does it, and it's just pure like, you're like, I'll do it tomorrow. But then do you do it tomorrow? No, you don't. Do you do it ever? No, until a day before the test you have. And I think everybody does it, and no matter who you are, you do it. Everybody does it. And learn notes to get them, because we've realized this here ourselves. It's helpful if you learn them when you get them. Like, we've already started learning our notes. Like, when we get notes in geography, for example, I learn them, or like I read through them, or like, especially for like biology, that's a big one to like, we're like learning our notes definitely and stuff like that. And like there's some subjects that are easier where you're like, when you're in class, like personally, like a lot of the information would just go into my head rather than I have to go home and study them. Like, there's some subjects where I just remember what the teacher said. And that'd be like, for geography, for myself personally, it's just easier for me to remember what the teacher has said to me. And I understand everybody's different in the way they learn and whatever. But if it's like definitions, go home and learn your definitions that you just got. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it makes life easier for the future when you have a test. Like, when we're having like midterm tests, like, do you really want to be learning the first thing you learned at the start of the year? Or do you want to revise it and then learn the things you've learned recently? Do you know what I mean? It's just about making life easier for yourself and not stressing yourself out, because you're going to stress yourself out if you have a test and you're like, I don't know any of this. And then I have to learn it on like, we all do it. And like, it's hard. It's easier to say than do, but
yeah,
it's easier to just try and do it if you can't, you know?
Yeah, because like I'm still trying to get out of that. I'm gonna leave the notes for a while. Like I'm trying to get myself just do it. Like and take an extra 15 minutes. Just go back over that rather than wait till the last minute and have about 3 hours of notes to learn instead of just the 15 minutes.
I agree 100%. It's more just getting yourself up and saying, don't be lazy, just do it. Just do it. And we all have the moments where you're like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week. But do it now. Just do it now.
I think as well, like for people still in junior cycle, it would be to actually learn the notes. Because I know that even I had it where I was kind of going, okay, but what's the point of this? Like, I'm never actually going to see this stuff again. We're going to be doing completely different stuff in leaving cert and all that. And the truth is, you're really not. Like, it's everything that you do in junior cycle, you're just building on it. And everyone said that to us. And I kind of went, yeah, but like, it won't actually matter. And I noticed, especially with French, I was really bad at that I'd learn the notes for the test coming up, but I wouldn't like make sure that I actually knew them. And now I'm coming to a point where I'm kind of going, okay, yeah, that would have been really useful if I actually just sat down, took the 15 minutes and just learned it. Because then you just keep building on it. And then you get to a point where all the stuff that you in first year were saying, oh my God, that was so hard to learn. It gets to a point where that's just all second nature because you just know it.
Yeah, like there's a few things like French is a brilliant example for us. Like it was at the time, like you're thinking like as like a lazy first year, you're like, it's fine, I won't need this. But like there's one thing like that keeps coming up and it's like numbers in French. And luckily enough, I must have just learned them when we were doing it, and like a lot of the basic stuff you would have learned. But then like there's the more difficult things and like, the things you end up kind of just losing after a while when you're not using them and whatever. But
yeah, like the seasons in French, I knew them when we learned them, but then she was talking about them the other day and I was like, I can remember them looking at them, but if you asked me before I opened this page, I wouldn't have had a clue.
A lot of the simple stuff we forget. Like I feel like now I probably could because it's been mentioned to us recently, but before we were told about before we were reintroduced to like the months and like the astrological signs and whatever, or star signs, then like I would have forgotten them. But now they've been not like retaught, but like they've been shown to us again. I'm like, and they're all like flooding back and whatever. But yeah, like when you think something isn't useful, especially in a subject like French or maths is another huge one, and Irish too, when you think it's not useful, it is. So if you're in junior cycle and
subjects, I think like if we start listing the subjects where that's helpful, we're going to get to all of them at some point, because like you were starting to list some there and I was kind of going, oh yeah, no, but this one and this one and this one as well, and like literally it comes down to all of them. Like even subjects that you don't think you're going to do for leaving cert, like I know I definitely did that. I kind of went, okay, look, it's only a couple more months where I have this subject and then I'm not going to have it for leaving cert, so it doesn't even matter. And I like, why should I try so hard in this one and not try harder in one that I know I'm going to do? Things change. They change so quickly. Like I'm now doing leaving cert PE, which I thought would have been literally the last subject I would have chosen, and I'm absolutely loving it. But it just means that things like science in junior cert were really important to learn, or even stuff that you don't think is going to matter. Like we did a lot of stuff in home ec that's now applying to PE. So even though I knew I wasn't going to be doing home ec for leaving cert, it's good that I still went off and just learned those notes, because it all ties in, like in some way, shape or form, all the subjects are going to tie together, even if it's just something as simple as having a proper study routine that you then just keep going.
Yeah, 100%. This has kind of turned into like a little advice thing for like,
I know, yeah.
Which I just realized.
With Mira, Laura, and Kriva.
So that's today's podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It kind of accidentally turned into a bit of an advice, but hopefully you listen to some advice we have after being in school for 5 years. You'd hope we knew a bit of something about how to work around school life. So we hope you enjoyed it anyway, and we have no game for today because sure, why not?
hopefully you found some of this helpful. Be sure to comment and let us know how you're finding going back to school and like if there's any problems that you're having or any of that kind of stuff, because like we could do a third one of these and just kind of talk about common problems that people are having, or especially like the younger years. If there's anything that you're finding difficult, maybe we can give you some tips about something. If you aren't subscribed to our YouTube channel, then be sure to do that. It is in our description if you are following this on Instagram.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
There's a massive spider on the wall next to me.
Oh no.
Don't know if it's alive. Oh my god, it's alive and it's massive. I blew on it, see if it moves. It's cute. Oh
Brian
god.
O'Donovan,
RT News.
your Washington correspondent. Welcome back to the presentation podcast. I'm Kriva. This is Laura, who never pays attention, and that is Mira. Kill
Laura,
it.
you are so ridiculous.
I'm
Don't
gonna get
kill it, put it outside.
You think I touch a spider? You are hilarious.
Mm.
Yeah.
At least now you can sit on benches.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
By the way, I decided to just take that because I realized nobody was gonna say anything. So I was like, I have an idea in my head.
How are you finding it being like the difference between fourth year and
Are
now
you gonna
going
have to say
into
that
fifth year?
again because it's crawling around the place? I'm gonna get sick.
Mm.
Awkward silence. Silence.
I think like the advice I'd give would be more Laura,
You're gonna have to,
really.
I'm freaking out. The spider's moving. I'm gonna get sick.
I'm not gonna there oh, Jesus Christ.
Smack it with something.
No, because I'm
No,
not to smack it
don't.
with.
Mira,
I
stop
keep
being
hands off it.
Spider Woman now and let her kill the thing,
I'm not killing it
Why does
because
it
I'll
deserve
get
to
sick.
die?
because it's trespassing.
If you trespass somewhere, would you want someone to just come out and say, nah, choose trespass and kill her?
The spider's getting the death penalty. I don't know. There's no game.
Let's
to
just
do.
say no game for this one because we're fifth years and we have things to be doing, like editing podcasts that need to go up today. And Laura, do you want to say something about the fact that we're not doing a game? Just
Thanks. Bye.
great, problem solved, we're done.